Because the Indonesian is different. He's a warrior, he's a fighter. He give his life for Islam. The Indonesian.
Seorang ulama mengatakan tentang bangsa Indonesia. Dia mengatakan jangan menghina bangsa Indonesia. Halo guys, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera guys. Welcome back to my YouTube channel guys. Oke guys, kali ini kita akan teruskan lagi membuat bakalan video reaction ya guys, mengenai tentang ada seorang ulama mengatakan tentang bangsa Indonesia. Dia mengatakan jangan menghina bangsa Indonesia. Tetapi sebelum itu kita akan sama-sama tonton ya, bagaimanakah isi intinya, kandungannya, karena ini merupakan salah satu perkara yang harus kita lihat bagaimana rangkuman yang dibicarakan oleh seorang ulama guys. Ini adalah seorang ulama yang mengatakan tentang bangsa Indonesia dengan judulnya tonton video ini sebelum menghina bangsa Indonesia, Syekh Imran Hosein. Ini merupakan dari channel Kidri TV. Jangan lupa guys, seperti biasa like, comment, share dan juga subscribe di dalam channel ini guys. Seperti apakah ceritanya? Ayo tanpa berbasa-basi kita akan sama-sama tonton di dalam video pada kali ini. Yuk guys. Oke guys, dengan hitungan 1, 2 dan 3 guys. Kitri.
Europe is empowered with a power which the rest of the world combined cannot match.
Tidak dapat
If
menandinginya.
you think this happened by accident, you should go and buy a house in Disneyland. And Europe uses that power to attack the rest of the world and colonize it.
Menyerang dan menjajah
If you
dunia.
think that happened by accident, go and live in Disneyland. When Europe colonized, it was something very sinister going on. It was made even more sinister because suddenly one day Europe started to withdraw.
Menarik diri.
They call it decolonization. And as Europe decolonized, the natives now, they have something that they call, I don't know if you heard about it, independence. Independence. And they have a flag, and they have a national anthem, and they have a hodgepodge of an army and so on. And then sometime in the middle of the night, they would have the lowering of the flag and the raising of the flag, and they'll be dancing and so on. And they say, we've got freedom. But the European will be hiding behind a mango tree and laughing his belly out. Look at these one-eyed fools. They think they have got freedom, that they drove Europe out. No, Europe withdrew for tactical and strategic reasons. But before Europe withdrew, decolonized, Europe planted some truly dangerous seeds.
Menanam benih yang
But the
sangat
only
berbahaya.
way you could recognize those dangerous seeds is if you have nur from Allah. Not just knowledge that you get from the books. That's important. Yes, that is important. But you need something more than that. The first seed that Europe planted, that is in the essence of Islam, that you must recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Al-Malik.
Al-Malik.
The one who possesses Al-Mulk, sovereignty. That's the translation for Mulk, sovereignty. But now Europe leaves behind a dangerous seed called the modern secular state. And the modern secular state declares, we no longer recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Al-Malik. The state is now Al-Malik, sovereign. And that is shirk. So this was the seed of shirk, political shirk, which was planted. How many Muslims saw it and recognized it? How many of our distinguished and learned ulama, for whom we have respect, we don't speak disrespectfully of them, not at all. How many of them recognized that this was shirk? We even had ulama in politics.
Yeah.
Ulama in politics.
Ulama
We
ikut
even
dalam
had
politik.
Islamic movements becoming a political party and fighting in elections like everybody else. Still going on now. But the second seed that Europe planted before withdrawing was the seed of transformation of money. Money was no longer going to be sunnah money, money which had intrinsic value, but rather we now have a new kind of money, it's paper money, and it does not possess intrinsic value. The value of the money is outside of the money. And so now I'm paid my salary in paper. It could buy a camel. Took it home, gave it to my wife, put it away. 5 years later, take it out, can't buy a camel anymore, can only buy a donkey now.
Oh,
did you hear that? My 1 month of sweat is now reduced. Only 2 weeks have been kept in the money. And 2 weeks of my sweat has disappeared. Is this permissible in Islam? Allah speaks in the Quran, the Prophet Shu'aib alayhi salam, and the market or the economy of the people of Shu'aib alayhi salam is a corrupted market. There's a lot of ripping off going on in this market. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds to it in the Quran, and He declares 3 times in the Quran. Listen to the words. وَلَا تَبْخَسُ النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُمْ. Do not do this. My 1 month is now reduced to 2 weeks. Do not diminish and make less the value of people's property, people's labor, etc. That is haram. And so this money, which is losing value, is by the definition of the Quran haram. But we were asleep. We were all asleep. And we didn't recognize. We were being taken for a ride. And then it would have become clear that my loss was somebody else's gain. Let me repeat that. When my money could no longer buy a camel, it could only buy a donkey. The value of my labor has been diminished by half. My loss was somebody else's gain. 5 years later, when I take it out, can't buy a donkey anymore. Can only buy a goat now. And so my 1 month has now been diminished to 1 week. If this keeps on going on, I'm going to be enslaved. A new slavery will come upon the world. If this keeps on going on like this, surely it was time for the Ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam to stop fighting amongst themselves over popcorn. Because that's what they're doing. Fighting over popcorn. While this massive betrayal of Islam is taking place, and we are blissfully ignorant of it. That's the price we pay when we only have scholarship but no nur. 5 years later, when you take out that money, can't buy a goat anymore. You only buy chicken and chips. That's where Indonesia is
ayam dan keripik.
That is where Indonesia is now, chicken and chips.
Ayam dan keripik.
Yes. And still we're fighting over popcorn. If you're 17 years of age tonight, son and daughter, this lecture is for you. They've been fighting over popcorn. While the slavery has come upon us. The Indonesian rupiah is now trading at about 10 to 11,000 rupiah to $1 US. When the Indonesian rupiah collapsed 3 years ago, dramatically, there was nothing wrong with the Indonesian economy. The International Monetary Fund or the World Bank just 2 or 3 months earlier had given a clean bill of health to the Indonesian economy. Nothing significant had changed in that economy when George Soros and company attacked. and the banking centers around Indonesia attacked. Singapore is one of them. The Indonesian rupiah collapsed overnight, and more than a half of the population of Indonesia were instantaneously reduced to poverty. There is such massive poverty in Indonesia today that the country is riddled with violence. And our sisters, or let's put it, my sister and my daughter and my mother must now sell her body for $1.
Oh,
It's very cheap now, $1. Yeah, it's happening. While those fellas are fighting over popcorn. It's not by accident that Indonesia was attacked. Because the Indonesian is different. He's a warrior, he's a fighter. He'll give his life for Islam. The Indonesian.
wow. Oke guys, demikianlah sebentar tadi ya video dari channel Kidri TV, di mana kita dapat sama-sama tonton sebuah video yang mana video ini banyak memberikan satu pengajaran dan juga perkara untuk kita berfikir ya, bagaimana negara Indonesia yang orang kata nampak ya, pandangan dari seorang ulama yang bernama Syekh Imran Hosein mengatakan bahwa Indonesia itu sangat-sangat beda ya, kalau kita tengok dari segi mereka punya jiwa, mereka punya hati dan sebagainya. Mereka adalah pejuang, mereka adalah petarung guys ya, apalagi kalau melibatkan tentang tentang Islam ataupun syair Islam kita lah, dalam apapun arti kata lain. Kita nampak bahwa negara Indonesia adalah merupakan satu bangsa yang bagi saya sangat-sangat besar, sangat-sangat mempunyai hati yang orang kata kalau kita lihat sejarah sebelum ini, mereka mendapatkan kemerdekaan dengan benar-benar berjuang guys. Jadi seorang ulama ini mengatakan bahwa Indonesia itu sangat-sangat beda ya daripada negara-negara lain yang ada di dunia ini ya. Mereka dianggapi sebagai seorang pejuang, seorang petarung guys ya, dan dalam segi apapun hal, walaupun kita nampak bahwa Indonesia itu sebuah negara yang sangat besar, tetapi mereka juga mempunyai ya jiwa yang sangat-sangat besar. Jadi apapun guys, kita akan ambil sebagai satu pengajaran dan juga manfaat apa yang dikatakan oleh ulama guys, seorang ulama dari Inggris kalau saya nggak silap ya, mengatakan tentang Indonesia itu adalah bangsa yang benar-benar berjiwa besar. Jadi apapun kita ambil sebagai satu pendekatan rohani dan juga satu pendekatan yang baik sekali untuk sama-sama kita melihat ya bagaimana negara Indonesia mendapatkan kemerdekaan ya, pertarungan mereka dalam memperjuangkan ekonomi dari segi pembangunan dan sebagainya. Walaupun dikatakan dalam video ini mereka mengatakan mereka tuh orang kata miskin, tetapi mereka tetap berjuang, mereka tetap meneruskan kehidupan, dan mereka harus yang menjadikan diri mereka tuh keluar ya daripada apa yang mereka alami yang saatnya kehidupan pada hari ini. Jadi apapun saya banyak ya melihat komen-komentar ya di dalam video ini, mereka mengatakan orang Indonesia selain pejuang dan petarung juga paling beradab di dunia. Jadi itu salah satu komentar guys. Dan ada lagi beberapa perkara yang saya nampak, kami bangsa Indonesia adalah petarung sesungguhnya, kami punya darah pejuang dari nenek moyang kami dan menjunjung tinggi nilai agama guys. Wow, satu perkara komentar yang membuatkan saya sangat-sangat merinding, dan saya sangat kagum guys ya, bahwa bangsa Indonesia adalah merupakan salah satu bangsa yang mereka sangat-sangat memperjuangkan ya, mereka mewarisi perjuangan nenek moyang mereka ketika dulu. Kita dapat lihat ya bagaimana mereka mendapatkan sebuah kemerdekaan yang bagi saya sungguh-sungguh saya kalau kita nilai ataupun kita mendengar cerita mereka guys, sangat-sangat merinding, sangat-sangat luar biasa untuk kita jadikan pengajaran dan juga manfaat untuk kita semua. Oke guys, menurut kalian bagaimana? Kalian boleh silakan tuliskan di ruangan kolom komentar. InsyaAllah ini sebagai salah satu untuk kita jadikan manfaat, terutamanya diri uncle, untuk sama-sama kita menilai sejarah, menilai dari segi sebuah kehidupan yang bagi saya sangat keras, tetapi kita ingin keluarkan diri kita sebagai seorang yang orang kata nampak ya keselesaan hasil dari perjuangan kita ya dahulu. Oke guys, itu saja Uncle. InsyaAllah kita akan bisa ketemu lagi di video yang akan datang guys. Sampai jumpa lagi. I love you Indonesia, I love you Malaysia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dadah.